This is the Dark Enlightenment with your host, MARKSSIUS Hill, aka House Hill, the 2-3 of MCs. Welcome to Enlightenment. Peace.
State is profiting off of child support?
Correct. And in most states, the Judicial Retirement Fund is funded from this money. So the more child support that's issued from the family courts, the larger the judicial retirement.
What?
It's a massive program. It's the size of the largest defense programs. So the
Is that
incentives
true?
are absolutely huge.
How y'all doing today? It's House Hill, of course, and today we're going to have Dark Enlightenment on child custody and how they deal with it in the judicial system. I think it negatively affects a lot of men and women, and especially the children. If you have a son, and you have a father and you have a mother, who do you think is more equipped to raise them? If you have a son and you have a father and a mother, shouldn't it at least be 50% custody? Half and half, at least? If you're raising a man and you got a man here fighting to be with his son, be around his son, he's requesting to see him half the time. And the court says no. In a recent case, a sad case, a close friend of mine, who you've seen on many of my videos, got 7 days out of the month for his son after fighting, putting his own case together. And another thing, if you don't have a lawyer, you didn't pay into the system. This is all about money. Man, some of this stuff is straight up ridiculous and shameful. I mean, what rights do men have? And it seems to be that the whole goal of this sometimes it seems to be that the goal of this is to keep black men at a lower level than they should be because they don't have fathers. You're always complaining about where's the fathers. Then when you go to court, you're giving them 7 days out of the month to see his son. This isn't an isolated case. This happens all the time.
All these women so independent but need so much help. Help me understand, why are y'all crazy? Okay? This woman ain't even black. This woman is just as white as she want to be. So they all crazy. I don't get it. I just don't understand why the entitled woman thinks that some man is supposed to do something for her. This is like ingrained in women for some reason, somehow, some way. You decide this is your life. This is your life. Y'all, I ain't even got one paragraph in. I'm already going off. So let me go ahead and continue. She got a picture that says life as a single parent is challenging and there's not enough help around. Oh, really? Really? Oh my God. I don't know who says that all the time. Who says that now? I ain't gonna say no names, but everybody think it's so easy. Everybody think I could do it by myself. I'm a man. I could teach a man to be a man. I could do it all that foolishness that they be talking. All that foolishness. I'm telling you, these people don't care about these kids, and that's why we got the problems that we do. Stop having these damn kids when you know daggone well you don't want them. They are not cheap. They are not easy. It is a task. It costs you time and effort and energy, and you new biatches don't want to do it. And that's why we got half of the problems that we do with all these kids. That's
women
all.
who are ill-equipped to raise children, have documented issues, don't have a place to stay, or a pot to pee in, or a window to throw it out of, and they still will have possession rather than a man.
We've got to talk about this. Eli Hart, the 6-year-old, was in a very serious custody battle between the mom and the father. And there were a lot of weird things going on with this mother. In fact, all this was documented. She was falsely accusing the father of the child for being violent towards their son. And these are all false accusations. He had actual mental issues. Everything was documented. But what ended up happening is what blew everybody's mind. Besides all of that, the false accusations and her obvious unstable mental health, this chick literally said that she heard voices telling her to delete herself, right? This mother who did this. All this was documented. Besides all that, they still gave her full custody, but 10 days later, their son was pronounced dead. This is unfortunate, and a lot of people want answers. They want the judges exposed, the people who are working on this case be exposed. Why? Because it's obvious that this is kind of the same thing we see in like family court, where there's this bias towards assuming that, hey, just because she's the mother, she is the most fit parent and should be granted full custody, which of course is crazy. And there's studies that have showed that that's not true. Majority of the times, single father homes raise up better children than single mother households. As always, the internet definitely had a lot to say about this. Let's check out a few of these comments and see what the people had to say. This first comment reads, women are 6 times more likely to delete their own children compared to men, yet the courts know these stats and still grant women full custody 99% of the time without question. That's interesting. I'll be curious to know why. I wonder if like postpartum has anything to do with that and other issues that women face. Next comment here from another woman says, stop giving these women excuses. Stop defending those individuals that were supposed to be experts in assessing the situation. The social workers, the lawyers, and the judge failed this poor child miserably. There are no excuses. That is true. They're going to have to drink this coffee.
Drink the coffee. It'll make you feel better.
But of course, they're hiding the identity of these people. Another commenter here, male commenter, says, one of the main reasons this was allowed to happen is because of the bias many people have against fathers. It's typically assumed that a mother, no matter how bad the situation, would always be the best caretaker for the child. Unfortunately, this prejudice against fathers sometimes leads to tragedies like this one. Over 100 likes on that post, and I couldn't agree anymore. Another commenter here says, the people who allowed this will be sued and held accountable, as they should be. Another person says, this despicable mother is a monster. How the hell did the court system give this mother custody of Eli? My heart breaks for this beautiful child. Next commenter says, workers and judge that allowed this to happen should all be charged. This is unacceptable. Another person added, the system is broken. Minnesota is one of the toughest states for fathers to get custody. Even with a clean record, stable job, and housing, the courts will place the children with the mother. Yeah. It's tough, I think, in most states, because they decide who gets primary custody also based on who was taking care of the child beforehand. And you already know, in most cases, mothers are in that situation. Another comment here says, name and shame the judge who gave this poor child back to his mother. Yeah, they need to release something. And they did release a sort of apology, but you could tell that even in their apology, they were trying to keep themselves away from being responsible for the situation. Now, the commenter here says, all that paperwork basically says she was unfit to be a parent. True. So why would you grant custody to an unfit parent? Bad judgment call. That judge should be sued for negligence and charged with manslaughter. Overall, man, I hope the father of this child heals from this as much as possible, and the families and everybody. But how often does this happen and just not get reported? Men being disadvantaged just because of the assumption in most cases that a mother is more fit.
What have we done here? What have we created here? Sad.
State is profiting off of child support.
Correct. And in most states, the Judicial Retirement Fund is funded from this money. So the more child support that's issued from the family courts, the larger the judicial retirement.
What?
It's a massive program. It's the size of the largest defense programs. So
Is
the
that
incentives
true?
are absolutely huge.
Yeah, in a lot of states, they're getting paid to keep your family apart. So why would they go with a judgment in your favor? You want to see your son, your daughter? No one cares. Where your money at? You ain't have a lawyer? Man, hit him up, man. He think this a game over here. He think he can actually come in here and represent himself. Oh my gosh, man, these people, These normal people. Man, it's ridiculous, man. Shameful. You get a degree, it don't mean you're gonna do the right thing. You got a family, you married yourself, you're sitting on that bench, don't mean you're gonna do the right thing. Don't even mean that you care about families if it ain't some of that involved. But it's a cold world.
Paying child support. Tori, my ex-wife here, she is a dental assistant. She's making a little over 200 grand a year.
On what planet does he owe her child support when he's making $30K and she's making $200,000? How does that work?
I've had my boys for a little over 7 weeks straight.
Ma'am, you see this man right here? He will make sure that you are escorted out of this courtroom. We do not need any more loud outbursts. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
So your child support obligation comes out to $1,456 a month, and those payments are going to be allocated to Mr. Carter.
Your Honor, I understand, but when I was out getting education, he decided to run around and chase everything that had legs.
Oh, if that's true, she's got a point.
You know what? You guys need to be in a different court for that. That has nothing to do with me. Anything else pertaining to these children.
Traditionally, fathers were the providers while mothers were the caretakers. These traditional gender roles permeated into the court system as divorce cases rose in the mid-20th century. The common belief was that fathers preoccupied with work and not inherently nurturing were fitter to pay child support than they were to have custody of their children. There's also bias against mothers. For example, when some mothers allege the father of the child has been abusive, they are accused of parental alienation. Family courts bias against fathers, but it says here no. Custody laws in many jurisdictions explicitly state that custody decisions cannot be based solely on gender in the eyes of the law. All parents, regardless of gender, are held to the best interest of the child standard. You have a girl. Who's more equipped to teach her to be a woman? You have a man. Who's more equipped to teach him to be a man? This is not rocket science. The laws of nature are always working and are gonna work. You can't go against it.
I'm part of a movement that is trying to reclaim a village model of parenting. How? You don't even have a damn father for your kid. As American author and solo mom Mickey Morissette writes, the goal of a single parent is not to raise our children alone. The goal is to consciously create the village in which we and our children will thrive. Well, that sounds half damn crazy. And that's why y'all got the issues that you do. And then we got to take on your stupid issues because of your crazy kids. Each week, despite my discomfort, I push against the belief that I must be self-sufficient.
Your eggs are going to go away at 35 to 40. Your vision might go. You might lose your hair. You can't run as fast. You can't jump as high. You're not as pretty. You got more wrinkles. Got gray hair. The laws of nature don't change, brother and sister. When it comes to these roles, men are more logical. Women, the basis of feeling, how they feel, their feelings, is a big part of how they do their thing, how they operate. So you have logic and you have something that's kind of intangible, which is emotion. So children raised by their fathers tend to be more logical when they have their father in their life or they're raised by their fathers. Custody exchange states that bias against fathers is almost inevitable. It's not even a thing. It's expected. And custody decisions tend to reflect the importance of keeping both parents in the children's lives, so as long as it's safe, Fathers may receive full custody if it's best for the child. Still, judges, lawyers, and others involved in family court processes can have their own biases. If you're concerned that your family court may be unfair to fathers, understanding how the bias presents itself can help you combat it. Yeah, you're going to fight the court. You're going to go against the judge. You're going to jacklet the lawyers with your non-qualified, non-scholarly, normal guy self. They make the circumstance so insurmountable, it makes you just feel pitiful. They don't know how damaging this is, or maybe they do. I'm not sure, because it's so blatant here. In this last case, what can I do to combat that my friend got 6 days out of the month to see his son? How can you combat those circumstances when it's so obvious? A married judge with a family doing this kind of thing.
Think about how your men are presented. Like, for example, in China, they have a law that says you can't present their men in a feminine way. You're not allowed to do that because they understand how that image of the men affects how little boys see themselves. You already have a community where most little black boys don't even have a father in the house every day. And that dysfunction has become so normalized that we think that that's okay. It's not okay. You know, just like it's not okay for a child to grow up without a mother. Why would you think it's okay for them to not have a father? So
this is happening all over the country, especially with, sorry to say, female judges. They tend to have a bias towards the mother. Statistically, men raise children better. Look it up.
So basically, statistics show that single fathers tend to do better in raising the children.
Girls with no fathers in the home have lower self-esteem. Okay, fine, that sucks. But also, women with low self-esteem are more promiscuous. No father families more likely to be victims of abuse, especially with single mothers. The more opportunity the child has to interact with biological father, the less likely they are to commit a crime or have contact with the juvenile justice system. Okay, another way to say that is men and women who are incarcerated, the population of the prisons mostly encompass fatherless homes. Now, here's something that no one else has mentioned, which I think is cool, and I don't really say this eloquently. If a man and wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same statistical chance as children raised by just their father. So if we want to keep children, adults, out of prison, mother, father, or just father. Well, we don't want to hear just father, so let's try to keep the families intact. I think that just seems better.
This is not our first time hearing this. We've heard this often, but I'm pretty sure a lot of single mothers would not want to hear this information. I think most single mothers would not agree with what she's saying, you know, and I think it's important for us to point this out because this is something that most women, single mothers, would not want to accept or even acknowledge or even share. Now, I'm just going to read a little bit of this. It says, do single fathers do better than single mothers? When single mothers and single fathers were compared, several differences in positive parenting behaviors emerged. Single fathers were found to be more confident of their parenting ability and to feel they had a better parent-child relationship than did single mothers. So this is something that a lot of people don't like to talk about or address because single mothers want to believe that they can raise these children by themselves and there aren't any consequences or there aren't any difficulties that the children will face because of it. Nobody is perfect. So we got to accept that, hey, there may have been some things where we went wrong or some choices that we made that could have stemmed from us only having that one perspective, that mother, and not that masculine, manly presence there to give you a different perspective. I agree with what she's saying, and not only do I agree, statistics back it up. Ultimately, the goal would be to not become single mothers, that we have 2-parent households with responsible parents to teach our kids and give them the best chances possible. Because we do know that the majority of the prisons are filled up with people who were raised by single mothers. That's a fact. We see oftentimes young men grow up and they start to act out. And a lot of times these women, single mothers, cannot handle these children. They don't know what to do because honestly, in my opinion, I don't think that a woman can successfully raise young men. It's just me. I think they need their fathers. I think fathers are important. I think fathers are important to all children's lives. I think two-parent households need to become a thing again because what is it, about 85, almost 90% of single mothers? That's crazy. That is unprecedented. It has to change because it's not doing our societies any justice. It's not making life better for our children and for a lot of these single mothers. And if we want to see anything better happens in the future, all of that has to change. It's going to start with accountability. It's going to start with shaming again and start letting women understand, hey, men are important. You cannot do this by yourselves. And it's becoming more apparent to a lot of women, but they're still in denial because you don't want to accept that, hey, you made the wrong choice and now you need to do something to fix it. So until we start to become accountable and accept our faults and our decisions and the lies we've been told, things are going to get worse and worse and worse. And you're going to see more and more single mothers out here struggling, trying to raise their children, trying to, do the best they say they can for their children by themselves. And they become lost in the sauce. You don't know what to do. You can't handle it because it's more than what you bargained for. Women have to choose better. You have to choose men who are responsible men who want to be fathers and want to be husbands and marry those men and create families with those men so that we can get our communities back. We're raising a whole society of children who were raised by single mothers and they have no clue of how this is going to affect those children. And especially the Black community, we're already at the bottom. So we really don't have no room for this type of mentality. It's just further and furthering the problem that's been, that we've been having for quite some time. It's not making it better. And I don't think people understand it until their sons are in prison or they're getting caught up in this lifestyle that's not beneficial to them. They're having problems in school. They're, becoming rebellious. They're acting out. And they're out of control and they don't have much respect for the mother and they're just losing their minds and the mothers are just losing control. It's because it's all out of order and nobody sees it until you're in a situation and now you're complaining and you're concerned and worried because you don't know what to do. But when people are trying to say, hey, it starts at home. It starts with having two-parent households. Oh, nobody wants to hear that. Oh, that's BS. They don't understand how important that is.
But women are always given the award when it comes to custody. And often they're given even alimony and child support. Sometimes even for kids that aren't even theirs. Whew. Don't sign that birth certificate. Get with Dana. It's a cold world.
Into the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, knowing in moments he could lose his freedom.
I stayed up all night, couldn't sleep, thinking about it.
Carnell is a wanted man because he refuses to do what the state orders and pay child support for a child that DNA tests prove isn't his. A child he doesn't even know.
I haven't even had a chance to really speak to him except for one time when we took the DNA test.
Nonetheless, right now, under the law, he's a deadbeat dad. Today, he turned himself in to the judge as ordered.
Scared because I've been before this judge before.
But this time he had attorney Cherika Harris, who volunteered to help after seeing his story on 7 Action News. The judge said he will not go to jail.
It's cold world, baby. Real cold. Cold like them dogs. Cold. Listen to how complicated they make this. Legal custody, physical custody, joint legal custody, joint physical custody, sole legal custody, sole physical custody. Really? Out of all of those, anything could be negotiated. If the parent wanted to be in the child's life, half is the least you can do. Now, one more thing. You think a trained judge that paid all that money for school, she's a lawyer, she sympathizes with that other lawyer. If you're representing yourself You're not sitting in the chambers. You're not going out to lunch with the judge, smoozing, talking about the case we just had. You think they don't do that? You don't think they know each other? They do. They probably know each other's families and everything. And you come in here, you think you're gonna be the trained lawyer. You didn't pay into the system. They're not gonna let you win. And I'm finding that out. I didn't think the system was fair, but I'm really seeing that it's not fair now. 50-50. If the woman or man wants to be in the child's life, and they show that they're willing and capable with no issues, what's the problem here? Set up for failure. It seems like women aren't concerned with being married before they carry anymore. And it's really hurting us.
This woman takes a TikTok to explain that she can't fully love her son because she admits that she hates his father. This is what's messed up in our world. Let's go.
My son is not coming home today. At this point, I don't even know if I want him to ever come home. I really hate his dad, and it makes it so hard for me to like and care for him the way a mother should. I hate co-parenting with him because he won't let go of the past. We've been broken up for 10 years now, and honestly, being with him is one of my biggest life regrets. But how do you look your own kid in their face, knowing that it's impossible for you to fully love them the way a mother should because you hate their dad?
Oh, goodness. Wow. You can appreciate the honesty, but man, I believe a lot of mothers feel this way. I believe a lot of young men in my community that I grew up in have expressed that they think that their mother has these sort of feelings towards them. It's just the mother never admits it. Very interesting hearing it spoken out loud like this.
It's like day 3 of my son being home, and I'm ready for him to leave.
Wow.
Before he came home, I cleaned his room. I made sure it was nice and organized so that when he come home, it could be fresh energy and a reset. Wednesday, he comes home. We go out to eat to Buffalo Wild Wings to celebrate him being on the honor roll.
Okay, so he's a good kid.
Thursday was my goddaughter's first birthday, so we went to Sea Life. We went out to eat, and then we went to Barnes & Noble, and he got a new book to read. This morning,
likes books, good kid.
He wanted Subway for lunch. Like, cool, I want to have Subway for breakfast. So we go to Subway on the way to school. And this, I don't mind. This is the I love about motherhood. Like, I want so badly to just be a cool mom and just be able to do. But I find myself always having to punish my son for being ungrateful and entitled. I don't care who anybody is. If I can't ask you, don't ask me for nothing, bro. So
I don't care who it is. You know that you're dealing with somebody who's troubled when they can't draw the lines between their own children and the rest of the world. Everybody can get it. Everybody's together and getting lashings from you because that's just where you're at. Who gonna check me, boo? See, it's just when you look at the current state of our women, a lot of us men, a lot of us fathers who are active in our kids' life, you need to go get your kids. One of the worst things you could do is leave your child with a woman who is scorned and has malice in her heart about you. She's going to find a way to take it out on the child, and most of these women don't even know themselves good enough to know that they're even doing it. Let's go ahead and get back into it.
Threw his book that I bought him away yesterday, and I threw his Switch away because while he was loading the dishwasher, he's just been in the kitchen the whole time. Like, literally all he had to do was just load the dishwasher, and I just don't get it. Like, why can I not just be a cool mom, bro? Like, why?
Oh, so he's stopping you from being able to do your job in the most productive way that you can do it. He's the one stopping it from doing it. You sure it isn't the fact that you're mad at his father?
Y'all got it. I just want y'all to know y'all got it. I'm a terrible mom. He with his dad.
Come on, let the truth out.
Y'all
let the truth
said
out.
to his daddy. He is with his daddy.
It's a shame.
And I'll be going to therapy.
It's sad.
Because I'm not about to keep getting
therapy.
disrespected in my own home. All that. If y'all want to normalize having ungrateful, disrespectful kids, getting bullied in y'all home, feeling worthless and unappreciated, that's on y'all. But
modern mothers, they set a really light precedent with their children in the beginning. They try to be their kids' friend. They try to like do nothing but play games, and they don't lay down any structure or rules. They leave it all up for the father to do it. And then when the child is older, they're shocked when they don't have all of the child's attention, or they don't have all the child's respect, maybe even. It's like you create something that you eventually grow up to not like. Let's go ahead and get back into it.
I'll be choosing me, and I'm putting myself first. I sent him with his dad. I'm about to get myself a 1-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
And I'm gonna live in life, bro. I see Shorty every other weekend, and we can do some fun shit. We can have the most fun world. But that's all I got for him is a good time 4 days out of the month. That's all I got for him now. Maybe a couple FaceTimes and phone conversations throughout the week, but that's it. I'm not providing financially. I'm not doing extra except the little fun shit I want to do when I have him every other weekend. And that's it.
I need y'all to understand something. Children don't have the power to make women get to this sort of emotional state about being involved with their children. I'm going to say that again. Kids don't ever have the power to get their mother to a point where she doesn't want to do anything for them and she just doesn't want to be a part of their life anymore. This is certainly resentment that she's harboring for this child's father. So she just doesn't want to be involved with the child. So she's looking for any way to get out of the situation. Because the truth is like you saw in the first clip in the beginning, she's disappointed that she had a child by this man. That's the foundation of what's bothering her in this whole scenario. Not that her son is disrespectful or entitled. That's what most kids who are growing up have to deal with and face. She's upset that she had a child with a man who does not either want to be with her or she doesn't want to be with him, but for whatever reason, it's a broken situation and she's stuck being tied with the man for 18 to maybe even 23 years if the child goes to college. So again, this is certainly one of those dangerous situations to where, fellas, if you have a situation where you have a child and she's with a woman that you know has a lot of negative feelings about you, that is a very sensitive situation that you should be very attentive to. She's just speaking words, but some women actually take action and do things that they regret for the rest of their lives simply because they're scorned about a man and they have his child. So again, be careful, fellas. Sucks to see something like this. I feel bad for that kid, but we must cover it.
It seems like women are fine with raising kids on their own, except it's having a very bad effect on what's happening in today's society with dark people.
It goes without saying that the task of parenting falls mostly squarely upon the aching backs of mothers because y'all choose it to be that way. All this, I can do it all by myself. And you got to have full custody. You don't want to share custody. You don't want to have joint custody. You want to get all this child support. You want to have the say in everything. You don't want the kid around a new girlfriend. You don't want the kid to go to the man's house. You don't want the kid to go with the man without you being there. All this of what you're trying to control, y'all do it to yourselves. Ain't nobody got no empathy and sympathy for this. Your back aches because you choose it to ache. You choose to have your back ache. All of y'all choose it. All you got to do is work with whoever it is that you had the kid with. And if he ain't no good, that means you ain't no good because you chose him to enter into you, took all that pleasure and had his daggone kid. So stop blaming them and look in the mirror and blame your daggone selves.
Dark Enlightenment. Peace.